All right, welcome to Bigfoot Society Open Phone Lines. This is the show on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights, 9 o'clock to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, where it's like an old school radio show. If you've got a story to share about like a Bigfoot sighting or anything weird weird story, or you can call in and talk to me over the phone. This is, of course, broadcast live on YouTube and then recorded for the podcast. It'll be put up a few days into the future. You can call 515-809-0165. We're hanging out together. Uh, most of us will be starting the work week tomorrow, so we just need to, have some fun, kick back. I had some crazy stuff happen this morning, this weekend. I'll talk about in a minute. But if you have, a story, or someone who has a story that should call in, send them a message right now. Have them call 515-809-0165. The number is scrolling across the screen. I see you've got a good buddy Alan in the chat right now. What up? Good to see you, sir. But had some really cool stuff happen this weekend. A lot of new subscribers to the channel. If you haven't got a chance to check it out yet, we did, in essence, have one of the first online Bigfoot conferences. Tate Hieronymus came up with the idea. I hosted it on my channel because I have the ability to do that right now. And it was all about, the 55th anniversary of the Patterson Gimlin film. And we had a great, it was a bunch of people presenting all things to do about the PG film, Bigfoot, Bluff Creek. We had Alex Petikoff there, Doug Hychek. We had Jesus Payon from Breaking Bigfoot, also Breaking Bad. We had Jonathan Easley from Western Bigfoot Exploration. We had Tate Hieronymus, of course. We had Damon Irons. And I think I got everything, everyone. If I didn't, shame on me. But it was a fantastic over 2 hours. So if you're really into Bigfoot in, the Patterson Gimlin film, you don't want to miss. I'll pick. I liked all the presentations, but the one that comes to mind right away, of course, is Doug Hychek's presentation was very, very interesting to do with, going into the gait of Patty, how Patty was walking, and he definitely showed some interesting video. Man, if that was just a little taste of what's to come with Sasquatch Legend Meets Science 2, it's gonna be fantastic. We've got Cassie in the chat. Cassie's Cryptid Land. Hey, Alan, got some Patreon peeps hanging out. If we actually, end of the month right now, we had an awesome Patreon group hangout on Zoom. We were chatting, we were hanging out. There was a ton of people in there. If you want to make sure you take part of that in end of November, you can go to patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. It was crazy because everyone was like, I'm into this, I'm doing this. And then I was like, hey, let's talk about the Ogopogo picture, guys. And there was some theories thrown out that I haven't seen anywhere on the internet. We got some smart people in that Patreon, but hey, we got some more people showing up here. We got Matt from Central Florida, Bigfoot. Hello, sir. We've got good buddy Carrick from Crash Course Cryptozoology hanging out tonight. Good to see you there. I'm curious to hear what I haven't talked to you about your thoughts about the Ogopogo picture yet. So I'm sure you have something. You always have some thoughts about stuff. But if anyone has any thoughts about, hey, if you want to talk about the Ogopogo picture, that's cool too. I'm up for that. If you have any stories to share or anything you're working on, you can share that too, as long as it's related to cryptid stuff. You can call 515-809-0165. This is live on YouTube currently, recorded for the podcast. Go ahead, share this real quick to any groups you're in on Facebook, social media. Send it to your friends. Oh my goodness, we got Chris Spencer here. Dude, Chris Spencer, what's up, man? The man, the myth, the legend. You got to check out Chris's YouTube channel. He's got some amazing videos on how to get your audio recorder set up for Bigfooting. Carrick, call on in, dude. Come on, do it. He says I'll definitely call in with a story and some thoughts if you like. Well, I'm inviting you right now. Come on, don't be shy. 515-809-0165. Um, I'm gonna take a little drink of water, H2O, real quick for the people who aren't watching a video. It's delicious. We have almost 10 people in the room. This is awesome. Crazy to think we are less than a month out from Crypticon. Let me make sure my phone is not on Do Not Disturb. Okay, we're good. Uh, dude, Bitsquatch, if you haven't listened to the Bitsquatch interview I did with my buddy Bitsquatch, you got to check it out because there's some crazy stuff happening right now with cryptozoology and AI photography, and that interview is going to open your mind. So definitely check it out on it's on that one's on YouTube already. You can go to the podcast on your major podcast platform that you used to listen to Bigfoot Society, and it is a great interview. Man, we talked about some cool stuff, and it's already changing again. So just today, I saw a thing where you can literally upload any video, and now you can like select parts of the video, and AI will take it out, or like AI will change it to different styles. I'm like, man, I gotta get in there and see what you can do with the PG film. Can you imagine? Ooh, that would be. Uh-oh, it's party time. Oh, I wonder who this could be.
Call from Carrick St. Laurent.
All right, hold on.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello, Carrick.
Call from.
Oh my goodness, Google Voice strikes again. Hold on, I'm gonna call him back real quick. Google Voice, you're killing me, dude. You're absolutely killing me. All right, we're calling him back. Hello, Mr. Carrick from Crash Course Cryptozoology. Let me make sure our levels are good real quick.
Sure.
Okay, I'll have you say something else, please.
Hello.
Perfect. Dude, how are you doing out there in the wilds of New England?
It's going good. I actually just got a job teaching at a local school. So
Did you?
I did, and I'm waiting to hear back about it right now. So it's been really good recently, actually, and it's something that I'm very passionate about education. So I think that's a really good step forward.
That is some of the best news I've heard all weekend. Good for you, sir.
Well, thank you, Jeremiah. I've really been enjoying your late night shows here with the call-in idea. Such a fantastic idea, I think. I don't think it gets done enough, the call-in idea. It's really very likely.
Exactly. And if it gets done, it's a one-off for a show. And they're like, oh, that was kind of fun. But no one's doing it like, I'm doing this every week. So thank you for that. So I'm going to ask you, so let's start with this. What are you up to with the cryptozoology scene? You're always doing stuff with Crash Course.
Right. Well, I think for right now, I've taken a small bit of a step back just because I think it's and my partner will certainly vouch for this. I tend to stack on a lot of projects all at once, and that ends up prolonging all of them. So right now, my focus is planning for the sequel to the Hampton Catamount, which me and my crew are going to be filming next month. It's going to be called the Hampton Catamount Into the Wild. And we have some new equipment that we're going to be using. And our hope really is to get something on film because we got such interesting results last time we were in this area. And we've really been trying to do our best to have these ecological surveys to narrow down if there is a population or even just one of these cougars, if they are here, where would they be? Where would their diet range put them at and things like that? So we really hope to get some results on that one. And really, aside from that, I think it's basically just that, the main YouTube channel.
Fantastic. I know you're a busy guy, so it's okay to step back and reevaluate if needed. But I do that sometimes myself. So I am very curious, Carrick, what your thoughts are with this Ogopogo picture that's floating around. I wonder if I lost Carrick. Carrick, are you there? Uh-oh. I think that I have lost him,
Oh
perhaps.
shoot!
Oh, you're here. Okay, good.
Oh,
That
there we
was
go.
weird. We went
That
in
was
and
strange.
we went in and out. Okay, so you're back. Good.
Yes,
Do you have any thoughts on the Ogopogo picture?
I do. Well, for one thing, it's very weird looking, and I can certainly say that with a degree of not even suspicion, just sort of being at a loss for how to properly explain it, because I've never seen an inanimate object that looks quite like that, but I've also never seen a living animal that looks quite like that. I don't know that I'm convinced that the subject is a living animal. I was just talking about this with Nash Hoover today, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's, I don't know quite what it is. Maybe it's how stationary the object appears to be in the picture, as opposed to having, some kind of motion blur or something like that. But it strikes me as inanimate. Doesn't mean that I'm right, but that's the feeling that I get looking at this. But at the same time, there is this, you can see it especially poking above the water. There is a high degree of symmetry in the object, which is obviously what you would maybe expect from either a handcrafted object or a biological living animal of some kind.
Exactly.
It's very difficult to say. I think the best point I've seen raised, maybe against the authenticity of the photo, is if this photograph could be so really perfectly captured. I mean, it's hard to get a picture of an animal standing so still. Why is there only one picture?
Yes, that keeps coming up with everyone I've been talking to. I've actually got it on screen for people viewing on YouTube right now. Why wasn't there video captured?
I don't know the answer to that one. And I will also say, what I can say, I feel definitively enough, and this is coming from somebody, myself, of course, who has been a graphic designer for close to a decade now. I cannot find any signs of digital editing. So
interesting.
I feel that I can say, with whatever my experience is worth degree of certainty, it is not an object that isn't really there. Whatever it is actually there. It's causing a real disturbance in the water. It is actually in the water. But what exactly it is, I really don't know. It's really weird. It looks I'm not sure how you'd secure an object under the water like that without there being a tether of some kind. And it's at a fairly good distance out onto this body of water. So it's not like you're in the shallows where you can kind of just swim down and tie it to a rock or something to kind of level off where you want the head poking out if you were tying an object down to make it look real. I don't really know. Again, I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket here for living creature or inanimate object. All I can say is that whatever it is real, and it looks like an object to me, but I could be wrong because we only have the one picture to go off of.
Exactly. We were talking about this in the Patreon tonight, and I don't want to get there are some people that I think are doing some research and they're gonna present it at a certain time. So I'm not gonna steal anyone's thunder. But I will say, if you look close into this area, there's some weird stuff going on with the water for sure. And I think some people will be presenting some interesting finds once some dead ends are overtaken.
Right. Well, that would be great. The closer we can get to whittling down the options for what this could be, the closer we are to the truth, obviously. So that would be great.
I also, everyone keeps bringing up that it looks like a wolf head.
A wolf head? There is kind of
right.
that
It's weird,
head. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying.
So, my thought in the group was, well, maybe we're looking at, someone in like a furry and they're going snorkeling, so.
Oh,
maybe that's what's going on. I don't know, but
I really hadn't thought of the idea of it being an apparatus someone's wearing. That would make sense, because if you did that, you wouldn't need a tether to really hold an object up, because the person can just tread water if they wanted to.
Yeah, and the other thing, like, we have no idea of how deep this is, right? Like, I don't think there's a way to tell. I don't know. I guess you can assume they're in a boat, right?
Yeah, they're in a boat. They're in what appears to be maybe far out onto a body of water, but
Right.
How far, I don't really know. And if there's some variation to the depth, for all we know, there's a very large boulder right beneath this object that someone can actually stand on. So
It's true. Yeah, that's a lot of questions here for sure. But
Mm.
I like the way you're thinking. And there's three people I always when there's some sort of mystery, potential photo, potential hoax if it's fake. There's three people that always come to mind. There's yourself. There's Mr. Sam Sheeran. And then there's Greg Morrill from Weird, and you guys always are some super sleuths when it comes to this stuff. So,
well, thank you, Jeremiah. I feel very honored to be counted among those three.
heck yes, dude. Uh, can Well, how about this? Do you have any? Have you been able to go out into the field and do any crazy stuff lately? Not to put you on the spot, or
No, not lately, unfortunately. The last time I was out was in April, and the last thing I had anything strange happen, I think, was maybe close to over a year ago now, I think.
Gotcha.
But I forget if I was able to tell, I guess you'd call it, my sighting story on your podcast before. Did I?
So, Carrick, I would love that, but I haven't brought that up because it's such a once you share that story, it's gonna be a big deal. So I was like, I'm just gonna let him, if he ever brings it up to me and is like, hey, now's the time, then you got it, dude. You can do it. So
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I try to be very open.
you
with it.
got the full
Yeah.
reign to share that story, that inciting you had. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to, if that's all right for right
Go
now.
right ahead, man. It's perfect.
Sure. I actually gained some new clarity on this while making The Legend of the Marlborough Monkey, because I had my dates wrong, as it turns out. Which, I mean, makes sense. It happened when I was particularly young, so I don't think I was really quite marking down the date and time like I would now when something strange happens. This was back when I lived in like central southern New Hampshire, in like the Wilton Milford area. If anyone knows where that is, maybe
Yeah,
around.
I know where that is, but
People might know
no
it
one else
from,
does.
let's say, maybe upwards of 30, maybe a bit more minutes from Nashua or
Yeah.
so. So I was in the 6th grade for this, or at the very least, I made a file to the BFRO about this when I was in the 6th grade. I feel as though it happened earlier on, but we're gonna say it happened between like 4th and 6th grade, because that appears to be when the memory is the most, we'll say, visible to me, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
It's at its clearest in that time frame. I remember that it was between August and September, so late summer, and I grew up in the woods, so a lot of my day was just spent playing outside. And I had gotten up particularly early one morning, and this was when I was around 11, 12, somewhere around there. I think 12. And I accidentally locked myself out of the house, so I was outside for a bit that morning. And
Okay.
it would have been, I think, around 10:45, 10:30 in the morning, I want to say. I could start to smell rain in the air and realized it was going to start raining. My parents weren't awake yet. I didn't want to wake them up. So I had walked up our driveway a little bit. We had a very long driveway with very sparse housing on the property. And off the side of the driveway at one point, there was this great big log you could just sit down on, and there was tree cover right over you. So if it started to rain, that was kind of like a makeshift umbrella. So I was just kind of sitting there, figured I'd wait for a few minutes and just try knocking again or whatever. And I'm there for, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes or so. And I hear from behind me this rustling, and I loved observing wildlife. So I was excited to turn around and maybe check out like a squirrel or a chipmunk or something.
Sure.
And I turned around, and trying to estimate it now, I would say what I was looking at was probably between 200 and 300 feet away from me.
Oh, wow.
Probably closer to 200, but certainly higher than just 200. So maybe 230, 250, somewhere around there. And I'm estimating that just based off of, how many telephone pole gaps was it to this thing I was seeing.
Mm.
It was standing. It was this upright black figure, very standard humanoid silhouette, but with really, I guess I can get into describing it now. If you imagine a human silhouette, the shoulders, the width of the shoulders was exceedingly wide. It was very robust. And at the time, it struck me as having a small head. Although I think I would say now that it appeared more like the head was very low set on the shoulders. And so because it was all this one uniform color of black, it looked in a silhouette fashion like it had a small head. But in reality, I think its face was just blending in with the rest of the coloring it had. Yeah, you see, like a gorilla sort of. And this was standing behind this birch tree. And I mean, there's birch trees in the area, but they're kind of sparse on that property. So where there is a birch tree, you tend to remember where it is in that area because you don't see a whole lot of them. It was a birch tree as well that was super old and it was rotting and it had snapped in half a very long time ago. So you had the trunk, and at some point halfway up the trunk, it had snapped in half, and the part that had snapped off was leaning against the trunk in kind of this right angle formation, or maybe triangle formation. And this was standing right behind that. And for some reason, I also remember the impression that it had blue eyes. I say that because it's, I think, probably a significant fact of what I was experiencing. I don't know if that was actually the case. That might be more of insight into the psychology of that event more than anything else. I'm not sure. Because logically speaking, it doesn't feel like I would be able to tell that from possibly 250 feet away. But what I do remember is that it and me stared at each other for about 10 seconds. And I say stared at each other.
Man.
I didn't make out a face or anything from where I was at, but I got the impression that we were staring at each other because it was completely motionless for those 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I can't really think of a reason for any animal to be motionless unless it knew something was up. And nothing else was going on around us. I was probably the most disruptive thing in this thing's presence. And after 10 seconds, it turned around. And it turned to what would be its left, kind of like in between its direct left and right behind it. So sort of this diagonal left. And what I think has struck me the most since recounting that has been from the front, this looked exactly like the Provo Canyon Bigfoot footage.
Wow. Yeah, totally.
To a T. Yeah, when I saw the Provo Canyon footage, I thought to myself, that's exactly what that looked like. And when it turned around and it began to walk, and I say walk because there was some underbrush, so it was a bit hard to see. I couldn't see anything past maybe, I guess, where I would estimate the upper thigh of this humanoid figure would have been. But what I did notice was there was these black bumps, if you want to call them that, that would come up a little bit above the underbrush as it walked away in the direction it was facing. And I realized at some point that those might have been its knees raising above the grass, which is why I say walked. It was a very smooth walk. I don't recall it being particularly janky, but there was kind of that up and down motion, of course. From the back, it looked just like Patty when she's facing away from the camera in the Patterson-Gimlin footage. There was that kind of elongation of the back of the head where the trapezius muscles of a human are. So that was, it was very brief, but to sound cliche, it felt like an eternity that me and this animal were observing each other. I had a few other weird things happen on that property, but at the time that sent me back inside instantly.
No doubt about it.
Wow. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I don't want to claim that I saw a Sasquatch. I know there have been at least 2 other reports in that town.
Definitely.
Which is interesting. One of them being visual. And those are just ones that have been told to researchers. Yeah, so it's very. I don't want to conclude that, but I will say I have racked my brain for any other potential answer, and I simply have not thought of a viable one yet. I do want to remark that I think it was between a few weeks and a few months later, it would have been. Again, I'm trying to kind of get some clarity on the time frame here. I don't remember that quite that well. I did go back to that tree, and I remember that the top of the head was a little bit, I think, under the point where the trunks had snapped. So I brought a tape measure out there and I measured, and it was 7 1/3 feet above the ground.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, and I don't think a lot of people realize, they think of like, oh, New Hampshire, New England, like it's a lot more wild than people realize. The southern New Hampshire, western, like there's some areas there it can get wild, man. Like I could
absolutely
totally see some Bigfoot hanging out in southern New Hampshire and all that good stuff.
Oh
no
yeah,
question.
I mean, we lived in a very wild place. We had. I was just telling my partner recently. There was an incident I remember, not far from that actually, just like literally a few yards from where that happened. One of my neighbors had the floor of his house. It was a 3-story house, and the floor of his house also kind of acted as their basement, so to speak, but it was really the ground floor. And so it had one of those basement windows, those kind of small rectangular ones that you can just kind of open like a flap. And he came down one night, and there was a full-grown black bear reaching into the window because the fridge had been left open.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, we had bears like surprisingly close. The first time I ever saw a bear, I was in 3rd or 2nd grade. I think it was 3rd grade, and I was watching a mother bear and her cubs from a window in my house. And of course, at the time, I was like ecstatic. But recalling it, I was like, "Wow! If I had been outside, she probably would have mauled me because I was that close."
Dude, wild. Yeah, no question. Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Carrick, I'm so glad that you called in and shared that story and all. That's some good stuff, dude.
Thank you.
There's the few people in the chat are like, has this person been on other podcasts? Pretty sure I've heard his voice before. This is Carrick St. Laurent from Crash Course Cryptozoology. And he does get around, and I've talked to you multiple times, which is awesome. Scottish Wildman, if you've never heard, I think my favorite episode with Carrick on was when he came on with Eli and they discussed the Man-Wolf Files. That one, I like that one. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
But always a pleasure when you're able to come on. But before I let you go, Carrick, do you mind, sharing, remind people how they can keep up to date with what you're doing and all that good stuff?
Sure. I usually post nowadays updates to things on Instagram first, I would say, which I'm just Carrick St. Laurent on Instagram. I do have a Facebook page, Crash Course Cryptozoology Research and Education. And my channels for YouTube are Crash Course Cryptozoology, another one called Documentaries, Crash Course Cryptozoology, and a podcast called Voices of Cryptozoology.
That's good stuff. It is fantastic stuff. And the documentaries that you made over the year are top notch, dude. So people need to definitely go check some of those out. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and you hit the bell so you don't miss any good stuff. But thanks so much for calling in, Carrick. I really appreciate it. It's good talking to you, man.
Well, thank you very much, Jeremiah.
You have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was a super nice chat with Carrick. It's good to talk to him again. It's been a while. If anyone else has any thoughts about I've got the Ogopogo picture up on screen, you're welcome to call in. We still got half the show left, 515-809-0165. Or if you have a story to share, maybe an encounter sighting like Carrick had or something weird that happened to you. Hey, it's not just Bigfoot on this show. We can talk about other cryptids. We can talk about, stuff you can't explain. That's cool too. But if you have any thoughts about the Ogopogo picture, we're looking at a wolf in the water. I don't know. It's too much. It's all hypothesis right now. So it's all theories, right? So give me a call in. You can call 515-809-0165. Let's see. What else did I have go on? Yeah. Maybe I'll give you a little sneak as to what's going on coming up on the Bigfoot Society podcast while we wait here. So we got a fun week coming up in our episodes. Tomorrow, I've got our friend Jonathan Dodd, cryptid artist. That's releasing tomorrow, 10/24. That is a fun chat about creating different, creating art to do with cryptozoology. It's fun. We have Mr. MK Davis coming on. Actually, they're all pre-recorded, so that'll be releasing on 10/26 Wednesday, and we talk pretty deep about we talk deep about film analysis, of course, in the PG film. So that's a pretty deep one. It's good stuff. 10/28 is Friday. That'll be releasing. This is a good one. They're all good, of course, but this one I had a lot of fun in the interview. And this is Mr. Tobe Johnson from the Pacific Northwest talking about the Owl Moon Lab. Guys, it's pretty much the Skinwalker Ranch of the Pacific Northwest. It's going to blow your mind. Definitely you're going to listen to this interview and you're going to immediately want to get the book, because the book has, Doug Hychek puts it out with Hanger One. The book has all these QR codes. You can scan it. You can see photos. You can see video that go along with the book. There's interviews. It's just an awesome interactive experience. I wish every book had that in it. I would be all about books even more. But Tobe was such a fun guy to talk to. You're really gonna like that interview. And I'll let you know. I'm gonna just give away the farm here. I'm gonna tell you about next week too. After that, so now we're into the end of October. This is going to be a really fun week. Have a episode with two different BFRO investigators, Bigfoot investigators that don't get out. They get out, but they don't get interviewed a lot. Scott Taylor, that's a fun one. I believe that's the one where we talk about some maybe cloaking. It's a fun chat that we haven't had on the podcast before. I don't think we've ever broached that subject. On November 2nd, Wednesday, I'm finally going to release the full Olympic Project chat. It's about an hour and a half. That was live a while ago. That was me and Shane Corson and Chris Spencer, but that was a really good chat. And a lot of people have been asking me, when are you going to release it on the podcast? It's going to be Wednesday, November 2nd. Also, I got to talk to another BFRO investigator on November 4th. So that Friday, I'll be releasing an interview with Larry Sidwell. This is a fun one. He shares in many things on that interview, but he shares an encounter he had with Bigfoot in the Land Between the Lakes region, which is usually known for Dogman. But it's a fascinating encounter story. You're really going to love it. Let's see. So let's see who we got in the chat right now. Again, if you're wanting to call in, share a story, share an encounter, share something that you're up to in the cryptid community, or something weird that happened to you that you can't explain, go ahead, call in 515-809-0165. This is live on YouTube. We got 13 people hanging out. It's a new record. Thank you so much for being here all. And of course, it's recorded for the podcast too. This name keeps coming up all the time. I think I really need to talk to this. I've had 4 or 5 different people in different venues bring up this name, Clint Miller, and that I need to talk to him. So I'm going to start that process to talk to Clint Miller, because obviously people want me to talk to him, and it's not just Alan, it's other people too. Let's see. Buddy Campfire Steve is here. Cool discussions. Got a member of the FSAR pulling a solo in a remote site in the Green Swamp tonight. That's down in Florida. Unable to reach him by text. Not concerned yet. He likes to go offline to meditate. Well, I hope that member is okay. Hopefully everything checks out. I know, I believe Campfire Steve is into swamp ape research down there in Florida, of course. So good times there. Maybe we can get an update later on. We've got Mr. Brown Dwarf. This guy's fun. If you're on TikTok, make sure you follow Brown Dwarf. I love his account because he's always sharing these like Bigfoot related news reports and stuff. It's just a lot of really fun stuff and stuff that I don't see at anywhere else. So definitely check out Brown Dwarf. Uh, Again, we're just we're hanging out here. We're chatting about some stuff. Open phone lines. I do this show every Sunday night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night. If you've got a weird story, an encounter story, a Bigfoot story, any cryptid stuff, you can call in right now. You can call 515-809-0165. This is broadcast live on YouTube, of course, and it's recorded for the podcast. So I will be let me make sure. I think did I miss a call? Nope, I'm good so far. So also, the other thing we're doing, the big thing in the cryptozoology community, of course, is discussion about the Ogopogo picture. I've got it on screen right now. If you're on YouTube watching this, which that's the only way to see it right now, everyone's talking about the Ogopogo picture, and man, I don't know what I'm looking at. I could be looking at a wolf head in the the lake. Um, I could be looking at a scuba diver wearing a furry costume. I came up with that theory. Um, but yeah, this show is definitely is an evolving show. You know, it could change into some new things in the future. We'll see. I'm appreciative that you're along for the ride, but if there's any oh, here we got a fun update from Cassie here. Let's see. Cassie says, so really cool you brought up LBL, Land Between the Lakes down in Kentucky. I talked to Jess and Joe last weekend at Wild and Weird Con, and they were telling me how active LBL actually is. It was super awesome. Of course, Cassie's talking about Jess and Joe from Hellbent Holler, which is an amazing podcast, YouTube channel. They have all these great videos about them investigating Dogman in the LBL. So definitely, if you've never checked out that channel, super popular, you need to check it out. Dogman is where it's at right now. So if you have anything to share, any stories, if you want to chat about the Ogopogo picture, feel free to call on in. You can call 515-809-1065. I'm just going to check something real quick. Let's see. Also, here's an interesting thought. If you have had a UFO sighting, you've seen UFOs or aliens, you can call in too. So it's not all just cryptids here, the weird stuff, unexplained stuff. But if you have a UFO report, call on in with that too. You can call 515-809-0165. And you can share your report on the air. Also, if you have a friend where you know they have a report, they have a story, and it's time for them to share, give them a message right now or share the link to this. You can share the phone number 515-809-0165 and have them call in. My good friend Mike Casey has had a few people call in, and you can go to the podcast. You can listen to this previous episodes. We've actually had 2 Bigfoot reports shared on the show already, where it was the first time the person ever shared the report. So pretty cool. Let me see if I can find some interesting stuff to share. Let's see. And in the future, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have some things queued up to share, so we can maybe have a little news time as well. That would be fun. Oh, here's a fun news item. Let's see if I can share this. Okay, so I'm going to stop my screen. Cassie, why aren't you calling in right now? I haven't heard the woodland walrus story. Absolutely call in. This sounds awesome. You can call 515-809-0165. I'm not going to force you to do it, but if you're offering, I would love to hear that story. That sounds amazing. I haven't heard it yet. So, um, let's see. I was looking up. There's a fun. Let me see if I can share this. Here we go. So, is a story you can look up. Alaska couple finds massive mammoth bone after storm. Ooh, can you imagine that? Holy mackerel! There's a typhoon that battered parts of Alaska's low-lying western coast last month, and while out hiking after the storm, married couple stumbled upon a gigantic mammoth femur that's thousands of years old. That would rock my face. My kid would be all about that. Hey, all right.
Call from Cassie.
Hello, Cassie.
Hi.
Hey, oh my goodness, Google Voice actually worked for once. So the trick is I have to hit the one button like 5 times in a row. Okay. I'm so glad you called in and you've got a story about the woodland walrus. What is this cryptid all about?
Okay, so last deer season, my son and my husband went to our cabin and went hunting because it's all like timberland, so it's all woods. And they were on the hill in their, I don't know, they're blind, looking across the swamp. And Brandon said that Brandon's my husband, Owen's my son. So Brandon said that Owen was like completely pale white and his hands were shaking and he was just like staring ahead of him. And he kept like trying to like push him and get his attention and things. But Owen's like, he just keeps swatting him away. He said he couldn't look away. So he reaches for his binoculars finally and grabs it, and he couldn't find anything. So Brandon finally asked him what was going on. And this is a story he told me when I came home. He was so excited. He's like, Cassie, I saw a cryptid. I was like, what cryptid did you see, bud? Said, I don't know.
Right.
It was like, he's like, he was in the woods. It was sitting on a log, and then it stood up. And it looked just like a walrus. It was black, but it was like kind of fuzzy, like glitchy, going in and out.
Oh.
And it had 3 legs, and it was like hobbling up and down because it was trying to balance on its 3 legs. But it had big white tusks and huge white eyes. And he said, and I was staring at it. And it was there the whole time I was staring at it. But as soon as I looked away to grab my binoculars, I couldn't find it after that. So, like, I looked at Brandon. He's like, no, he's serious. He looked like he saw a ghost for hours.
Oh, my goodness.
And then drew me a picture of it. And, yeah, I posted it on my Instagram a while back.
Okay.
But, yeah, we call it the woodland walrus of Millersburg.
I love that. MetaZoo, put that on a card. My goodness. Can you imagine?
I talked to Tracing Owls on his podcast about it, and he said that it kind of, he thinks it's something like the Enfield horror, since we're not too far from Illinois, but
okay. The tusk
3
thing.
legs, like, yeah, I don't know about that one, but he said white eyes, white tusk, 3 legs, kind of glitchy, had like a blur around it, but it was all black except for the eyes and the tusk.
The 3-leg thing, yeah, Enfield horror, definitely. But the tusk thing gets me. That is so weird. And then the glitching in and out. Like, do you guys remind me? And you know, you don't have to be super specific on air. It's up to you. But do you guys live near like military any military stuff?
No.
Okay, so you're out in the
Yeah, we're in Amish country.
Yeah, exactly.
Like full on Amish country.
Wow. I am so curious about that now.
Yeah, we've seen some crazy things in like those woods. Like me and Brandon were riding the side by side one day, and we saw something like run across maybe like 20 feet in front of us from the pond up into the woods, and we couldn't find it. But running on 2 legs across the path.
Whoa. A large
Yeah.
cat on 2 legs?
Yeah, we've heard some definite, like, loud screeching sounds that aren't coyotes. Like, we both know what coyotes sound like. We live in the woods. But, like, we had no idea what they were. We ran into the cabin and didn't come out the rest of the night. But
Okay, first off, the funny thing is none of this came out when I was interviewing you in the interview that hasn't released yet. So I'm so glad you're calling in. Yeah.
On that interview with my computer, like,
Oh my goodness. Like I still haven't even like I'm like I need to edit this. I need to just sit down and do it, but it's going to be fun. But so man, did you say how tall you would approximate that cat to be?
the cat, 4 to 4.5 feet,
Ooh.
like on its back, 2 legs, like running.
Any tail?
Yeah.
Okay. Long tail, short
Yeah.
tail?
Like a monkey tail.
Ooh. Okay. Any markings, stripe markings, any weird stuff like that going on with it?
It was dark brown, like almost black, and then it had like a white spot on its stomach you could kind of see. But I just saw
Okay.
the side view of it because it was running, and it kind of shocked me.
Yeah. Oh man.
And we drove up there for some reason, like, we're dumb. We drove up there as fast as we could. It wasn't that far in front of us. And we got off the side by side and we're trying to look in the woods, and we didn't see anything after that. But both of us saw it, because it couldn't just be like, oh, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Like, no, we saw it.
That's awesome. So you have two witnesses at the same time that saw the creature.
Yeah.
That's so cool. You guys need to
But
start
stuff's
wearing
getting all
body
crazy around
cams.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because stuff's getting crazy around here. We had those kangaroos on the loose
Oh yeah.
like, in Ohio,
Uh-huh.
and nobody got caught those.
What is going on in
And,
Ohio?
Yeah, I don't know.
My
So I don't.
goodness.
It might have been a kangaroo, Jeremiah. You never know.
I feel like you've had other weird stuff happen too, Cass. Is there any other weird stuff that's gone on?
Paranormal wise, like, okay, so we own Millersburg Tire Shop.
Oh, that's right.
And
This is you wrote about this for Paranormality, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's also a different story too that's
Oh,
really good,
okay.
that I'm a witness to.
Oh.
So the one in Paranormality magazine is about Delphine Crawford, who hung herself when she was 15 or 16 years old.
Oh man.
And it's just it's in an old barn that was her family's barn, but we use it as a tire like storage warehouse for all the extra tires, and everything's completely the same. Like, it's an all original barn, and from the 1800s. She hung herself in the milking parlor, and if you go in that milking parlor, like, the vibe changes completely. All of your hair is standing up, like,
Yikes.
on end. You feel so uncomfortable. And my nephew is, like, seen her, but my nephew is the most disrespectful person in the world to her, and, like, calls her out and says mean things. So I think that's the only reason why he's terrified of it.
Yeah, he might. You don't be mean to stuff like, just
Right.
be nice. Be nice. Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
But okay, so in the office part, we have never ever been open on Sunday in
Okay.
50 years. Never been open on a Sunday. So one Sunday, Brandon's phone goes off. There's a motion alert on one of the cameras, and it's in the truck building's office. So he pulls it up and looks at it, and you can see like a cloudy white silhouette of something sitting in the chair. And there's a file, like a binder of papers with all the service calls in there. And you can see the files are flipping one at a time, each page, over and over again. And we're watching this like
Oh my goodness.
on the security camera on his phone.
Yeah,
It
no
was
thanks.
crazy.
Wow.
And it wasn't a breeze or anything because each page was going one at a time. Like someone was actually looking through the binder.
Yikes.
Yeah. And we know nobody was in there because to unlock it, you have to be Brandon or his dad to get in because they're the only ones with the code and the keys for the alarm system.
Okay. Wow. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a weird one. Yeah. You guys get into some weird stuff in your part of Ohio.
I don't try to.
It just kind of comes it just kind of comes to you, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got
There's
walruses.
a movie, a documentary from right down the street. I forget what it's called, the Back 80 or Back 90 or something.
Oh, that sounds really familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's it's about a couple of Bigfoot sightings that have been reported to the BFRO.
Okay, yep,
And
I've seen
Brandon knows the owners of the land, so he's gonna try to let us like talk to them to see if we can go camp there. That's one that I would get into on my own.
That is awesome, Cassie. You have do you have a sound recorder? Audio recorder?
Yeah, I do have one.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you totally need to have it running overnight.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the main, like if anyone is going out Bigfooting, you have to have an audio recorder with you. You have to have it running overnight. Like you're going to pick up stuff and it'll take you a few weeks to listen, but
I'm not going to try to like draw attention to their property and everything or like cause anything. I just want to go there, camp, put a recorder out, take some pictures, and then that'll be it.
There you go. There you go. Oh, man.
Not my property. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody.
We got some fun people hanging out in the chat right now. Alan, I see your comment. You have a Brown Mountain. I believe that's it means Brown Mountain Light Story. Dude, next time I do this, you gotta be here. You gotta call in with that story because we're getting close to the end.
The Brown Mountain Lights are fascinating.
They're crazy.
I want to hear that.
Alan sent me a documentary link about them, and I watched it because he's all about it, and like it was fascinating.
Oh yeah,
it's just, oof! I can't wait to talk to him about it and hear his story in the future. Cassie, you're going to be at Crypticon, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Like I would plan to, but then we booked tickets to Arizona like 4 days later, so I'm kind of afraid to ask Brandon for more.
I got you. Yeah. But you will definitely be at the Frogman Fest, right?
Frogman and Monster Fest next year for sure.
That's awesome. I know we've talked about, but it's in the future. So, do you mind spending a few minutes talking about you're not just like experiencing weird stuff, but you're also creating some cool stuff to do with cryptids as well, and share about that for a bit.
Oh yeah, so I went to Crypticon last year and it was amazing. Like I love art, I love colors, I love cryptid, paranormal, everything like that. And I'm like, wow, I could do this. So I just went crazy and I'm like all multimedia art. I tried to get different things and use different kind of materials and make all kinds of cryptid stuff. I post tons of stuff every day on Instagram that I put together. And then I started vending at these cryptid events. And like Jeremiah said, I have Levelland Frogman Fest, Ohio Bigfoot Conference, Monster Fest, Cryptid Bash, like all these shows next year that I can bring all my stuff to. And then this weekend, I'll be in Erie, PA at the Halloween Bazaar.
Nice. Oh, man. Yeah, if you got to check out Cassie's Instagram. She's got some funny stuff on there and some really cool artwork. It's been fun to watch your stuff change as you draw more and more. You make some really cool stuff, so hats off to you, Cassie.
And if you go to Frogman, you will be one of the first to see the MILF calendars, the Man I Love Frogman calendars.
I was like, please tell the audience what that actually means. Guys, it's a man I love frogmen, right?
Yes.
Right. So,
Milk.
yeah,
Definitely.
exactly. So just the guys that say it's something else, they don't know what they're talking about. It's actually about frogman. So, come on, guys.
Exactly.
Come on, guys. Man, it's been a super fun chatting with you. I'm gonna be thinking about the wood walrus probably
Yes,
for a
the
few
woodland
hours.
walrus.
Yeah, the woodland walrus. That's gonna be wild, dude. But thank you so much for calling in. Hey, Saved by the Bell. My phone is getting low. This is great. We are at the 10, almost at the 10 mark, but thank you so much for calling in, Cassie. Cassie's episode on Bigfoot Society will be releasing on November 11th. So if you want to hear more about Cassie, wait a little bit and it's coming. And she's been on some other shows too. So just, search what was the one you said earlier? It was
Tracing Owls.
Tracing Owls, right?
Tales and Live with Aaron Strange Conversations.
Perfect. Good stuff. All good shows. Well, Cassie, thank you so much for calling in, and we'll be checking in later with you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Well, it's I think we're gonna call it a night because it's coming near the end, 10 o'clock. But Alan, just a reminder, if you can be on the other shows, I want you to call in, my dude, and talk to me about the Brown Mountain Lights because the more and more I look into them, they are fun to look into. But just I'm going to talk a few minutes. We got 12 people here hanging out. Thank you for spending your Sunday night with me. And we had a fun chat with Carrick from Crash Course Cryptozoology. Talked about his Sasquatch encounter in New Hampshire. We talked to Cassie about seeing the woodland walrus and all that good stuff. Let's see. Yeah, so if you miss some of this, you can catch the replay on the podcast in a few days, or you can always rewatch this on YouTube, and that's how you can follow along with what's going on in the chat. But definitely, if there's new people here, take a minute, please, to subscribe to this channel, like the video, share share it with your friends. Tell them about open phone lines on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday night. Write down the number 515-809-0165. You can give me a call with your story, your encounter story, something weird, or you can pass it on to a friend and have them call in too. I have a lot of that happens. But thanks so much, all. I will catch you on the next open phone lines Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central to 10 p.m. Central. Have a great night, all.